True Light. There's going to be a drive-by hunk and wave graduation parade honoring our 2020 True Light High School and College graduates on Sunday, June 7th, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. The event will take place at True Light, 7102 North Main Street. All 2020 True Light High School and College graduates, please contact Sister Donna Randall as soon as possible. True Light members, you can now click on the link on the screen or call the number to join the virtual Refuel Wednesday each Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon and 7 o'clock p.m. You may be dialing in spiritually empty, but after the Bible-based teachings, you will hang up the phone full of the Holy Word. See you there, Pastor Anthony F. Halley II. All True Light members that would like to have a copy or digital book of our Refuel Wednesday Bible study are asked to please contact our church administrator, Sister Kayla Ross, by phone at 713-861-8437 or by email at kross@truelightmbc.org. Thought for the week. As a child of God, you are never alone. Your shepherd is with you at all moments. You never have to call him into your situations. You never have to wonder where he is. You never have to fear that if things become too difficult, that he will abandon you. He goes before you. He walks beside you. He comes behind you. He protects you securely. And if you continue to do his will according to his plans, he will get you through any and all obstacles of these worldly times. Have a blessed week.
Good morning, family of light and friends. The Lord just keeps blessing us over and over again. For that, we say thank you, Lord, for all that you have done. We praise you, Lord, for what you've done. We give you thanks, O Holy One. We magnify your holy name. We give our reverence and sing the same. We stand on your word as saints and praise, giving you honor the rest of our days. And we thank you, Lord. Yes, we thank you, Lord. And we thank you, Lord, for all that you have done. We praise you, Lord, for what you've done. We give you thanks, O Holy One. We magnify your holy name. We give our reverence and sing the same. We stand on your word as saints and praise, giving you honor the rest of our days. And we thank you, Lord. Yes, we thank you, Lord. And we thank you, Lord, for all that you have done. Accept our praise. Accept our praise. Oh Lord, be pleased with everything we do and say. Accept our praise. Accept our praise. And we thank you, Lord. Yes, we thank you, Lord. And we thank you, Lord. And we thank you, Lord. And we thank you, Lord. Yes, we thank you, Lord. And we thank you, Lord, for all that you have done.
I received a package in the mail the other day. Being on quarantine, not being able to go shopping. I got on Amazon and ordered some toys for myself, something to keep me busy. With keen expectation, like a kid on Christmas Eve, I was excited about receiving my package. I got a notification that the package had been delivered. I went to retrieve it. There it was in the familiar Amazon box, familiar Amazon tape. I knew this was what I had been waiting on. Made myself comfortable in my living room as I began to open this package. Opened it up, and to my surprise, it did not look like what I had ordered. I mean, it was the right merchandise, but it did not look as pristine as the picture that caused me to purchase this particular product. Upon further investigation, I realized that someone somewhere in between wherever this package had been delivered from and now had reached me, somewhere somebody had caused some damage to my package. I had noticed that there was a little crinkle in the box, but I figured that would not have harmed what was on the inside of the box. But to my surprise, there it was, my new product, damaged, did not look like what I had purchased. And while I was excited that my package had been delivered, I was troubled that the delivered package had been damaged. I sat there for a moment in disarray and disgust. But then it dawned on me, Amazon has a return policy that you can send the product back if it's not right, and they will either refund your money or give you a new product. That gave me some comfort, and that's what I did, but still upset about my package being delivered. But although it had been delivered, it was damaged. It really troubled me, y'all. I really wanted my package. As I was preparing for my sermon, as I do every week, I oftentimes try to listen to the voice of God in things that happen in my life, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. That while my package had been delivered, my package was damaged. And that's what hit me like a ton of bricks, AP, is that many of us, we have been delivered. But the reality of the situation is that we are still damaged. We have a whole lot of delivered people. Yes, God has saved them, but the reality, my brothers and my sisters, is that we're still damaged. Still damaged products, still messed up, still find ourselves with issues and idiosyncrasies, problems. We have been delivered, but we are still damaged. And so here in 1 Corinthians, Paul is speaking to these Corinthians and suggesting that there is the possibility to be delivered but also be damaged. Look with me, if you will, at 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. He says it like this. He says, "There hath no temptation taken you, but such is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. Literally delivered, but still damaged. Context to the story is simply this: Paul is preaching to these Corinthian believers, what we now call Corinthian Christians, and he's saying to them, hey y'all, yes, you have been delivered. But you got to be careful in your deliverance, because sometimes you can feel like you've been so delivered that you forget you are still damaged. What happens with believers who feel like they have been delivered, but they are no longer damaged? They start looking down their noses at other people. They start feeling like it's their works that has put them in right relationship with God. They feel like it's their money or their title or their status that makes them okay with God. We delivered Christians who feel like they have or they are not still damaged oftentimes think we are God's prima donna, when God says even at your best, I don't care what your best is, whatever your best is, whatever my best is, even at your best, we're still, our works are nothing but rags, filthy rags in the eyesight of God. And so Paul comes to declare a warning. He says, yes, you have been delivered, but understand you're still damaged. Don't you know, he starts out in chapter 10, verse 1. He says, moreover, brethren, I would not have that you be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of the spiritual rock that flowed or that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with many of them God was not well pleased. Says they experienced deliverance. They were able to cross over the Red Sea. God fed them in the wilderness. They were delivered. He covered them with his grace. But then in verse 5 it says, but with many of them God was not pleased. Delivered, but still damaged. And Paul calls on these Corinthian Christians to understand that you ought not make the same mistake that your forebearers, your forefathers, your foremothers made. Listen, it's almost like, to me, if Paul is saying it like this: if you're going to make a mistake, make a new mistake. Don't keep making the same old mistakes. He said, you have been delivered, but understand you're still damaged. And because you are a damaged product, you have the propensity to still fall. You have the propensity to still commit evil. You have the propensity to still sin. It doesn't matter what the level of sin is. We as mankind have put levels on sin, but God says it's all nasty to me. I don't care what it looks like, what it smells like, how it sounds, it's sin. Paul is reminding these Corinthian Christians that you have been delivered. God has shown you grace. God has shown you mercy. God has provided for you. God has protected you. But that is the deliverance part. But you are still damaged. You're still messed up. Flow up from the flow up. Oh, and that's a message to some of us this morning who feel like we are God's prima donna. Like we don't owe God anything, and God owes us everything. Paul reminds us that you cannot become too haughty in your relationship with God to think that you cannot fall. You cannot become so hoity-toity in your religion that you think you are beyond temptation. Paul says, yes, you have been delivered, but you're still damaged. You got some sin in your life. You got some issues in your life. And listen, if anybody could talk about being delivered but still being damaged, certainly it was Paul. Y'all know Paul's story. On his way to Damascus, he got knocked off his donkey onto his donkey. His life changed. His life changed. I won't go too deep into the story, but his life changed. But Paul comes along later on and says, I've got a thorn in my flesh. It keeps bothering me. It keeps plucking at me. I really want to get rid of it, but God says to Paul, my grace is sufficient for thee. The thorn is a reminder that I did deliver you. I picked you up. I turned you around. I placed your feet on solid ground, but you are still damaged. Still got problems. You got problems. I got problems. All God's children have problems. We've been delivered, but we're still damaged. That's the bad news of the text. That we've been delivered, but we're still damaged. So Paul, how do I handle my deliverance while also being damaged? How do I accept that God loved me so much that he found me where I was, but was not content to leave me there? And every day he's taking me on a journey to get me a little better. But it seems like when I take 2 steps forward, life knocks me 5 steps backwards. I'm not making any headway here, Paul. Yes, I've been delivered, but I'm damaged. How do I handle my damagedness? Is that a word? If it isn't, I made it up. Here it is. Paul says in verse 13, he says, there hath no temptation taken you, but such is common to man. Literally, Paul says, you've been delivered, you're still damaged, but understand that there is a commonness in temptation. Understand that you aren't the first person to go through this. Understand that you aren't the only person that's going through this. You aren't the only person that will go through this. Yes, you've been delivered, you are damaged, but you aren't the only damaged person. Oh, Lord have mercy. You've been delivered, you are damaged, but you are not the only damaged person. No, you are not the only damaged person, nor are you the only person that's ever been damaged. Yeah, there's a commonness in this temptation. You have to understand that yes, you've been delivered, but you are not the only person to experience temptation in your damagedness. My brothers and my sisters, we've got to stop holding our heads so high that we neglect to see those that are around us. Those that don't have what we have are not able to do what we can do. Maybe don't talk like we talk. Look like we look. Because the reality is we're all damaged goods. And the reality is that none of us, no Christian, can escape the reality of temptation. It's there. It's there and it's not going anywhere. Those, as Paul opens up that text, he talks about those forebearers who have paved the way for these new Christians. He said they went through it too. They went through it. Many of them failed. He says, but use them as an example. It troubles me. It troubles me when I hear people say things like experience is the best teacher for life. But may I declare this morning, Sister Dorsey, there's some things I don't need to experience to know that it's no good for me. I declare that example can sometimes be the best teacher for my life. Yeah, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I don't need to take crack cocaine to know that crack cocaine has the potential to destroy your life. I can just look at some folk and let them be my example that I don't need to go that route. I can look around and see some things in society and not have to go do it, but learn from others' mistakes and say, no, I don't have to go that route. And Paul is saying that. He says the reason you've been delivered is because God loves you so much. But the reason that you're damaged is because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you aren't learning from your mistakes. You've seen what God has done with disobedient people. You've seen what God has done with people who have turned their backs on him. You've seen what God has done to people who have put him to the side and worshiped idol gods, money, cars, clothes, and anything else. You've seen what God has done. But now you're falling back into the same rut that they were in. The reality is, my brothers and my sisters, you don't have to be ashamed of your temptation. It's not a new temptation. Don't be ashamed of your temptation. But don't let that temptation win. You've been delivered. You have some power that others don't have access to as a born-again, blood-bought believer of Jesus Christ. You have access to some things that say, I might be tempted, but I don't have to go that way. There's a commonness of temptation, but not only is there a commonness of temptation, Paul says when you realize that you've been delivered, but you're still damaged, he says you ought to be thankful. Why, Paul? Why ought I be thankful? Paul says because because God is faithful. Literally, God is consistent. There is a commonness of temptation, but then there's also a consistency of God. Those same people, the children of Israel who turned their backs on God, who worship idol gods, who found themselves murmuring and grumbling about what God was doing in the wilderness. The same God that they were talking about was taking care of them. And Paul says the same God that was taking care of them folk way back then is the same God that can take care of you now. That's reason to shout. Even when I mess up, even when I fall, God still shares his grace with me. He still covers me with his power, his protection, and his provision. God is consistent. He's consistent in taking care of his children. But listen, we like that part, but here's the part about God that we don't like. We like to hear God is merciful. We like to hear God is gracious, but we don't like the part when we have to say God is a jealous God. God is a vengeful God. God will have no other gods before him. And when he's got to show the world that he's still in control, he says it's the same. I'm the same God. The same God that had to punish the children of Israel. I'm the same God that when you get out of line, I've got to take care of you. I've got to punish you. Not Not because I'm mean and evil, but because I want you to be better. He says, I'm putting my hands on you. Because I love you. It used to trouble me, AP. When I was younger. And I'd get in trouble. Had to take my punishment. Mama might say something like this don't hurt me more than it hurts you. And when I was a child, I didn't understand. I said, theoretically, this doesn't even make any sense. I'm the one taking the whooping. You're the one giving it. How is it going to hurt you more than it hurts me? But when I got a little older and my relationship with God got a little stronger, and when he had to punish me, I began to understand what mama was saying, because any good parent doesn't like inflicting pain on their children, but they inflict pain so the child won't continue to do the same thing over and over again. God is consistent. He's consistent in his grace. He's consistent in his mercy. But he's also consistent in his discipline. If he loves us only to give us grace and mercy, my brothers and sisters, I declare that that's not all real love. Sometimes he's got to discipline us in order to keep us from doing the same thing over and over again. Why does he have to do it? He has to do it because I'm delivered, but I'm still damaged. I've been saved, but I'm still sick. I got some issues in my life. I love God, and I know he's real, and I believe in Jesus Christ, but I still got some flaws. Delivered, but still damaged. Paul says you make it through this because you understand that there's a commonness of every temptation. There is a consistency of God. But here is the good news, some more good news. Paul says God is faithful. He's consistent. Who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way of escape. Let me read that again. God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but with the temptation he will also make a way of escape, that ye may be able to bear it. Listen, there's a commonness of temptation, there's a consistency of God, but then there's a certainty of escape. Oh, Lord have mercy. At some point in our Christian lives, we've got to get to a point of spiritual maturity that we stop blaming other folk and the devil for our problems. Paul kills that notion right here. He says, whenever you're tempted, God will give you a way of escape. Let me see. You knew at 2 o'clock in the morning when the phone rang that it wasn't an emergency. And for some strange reason, you took the call anyway. Because you're damaged. You got in your car only to realize that your car had a flat tire. But you so stuck on getting to the caller that you jump in your trunk, pull out your spare, and begin to change the tire. Only to realize that you don't have a four-way. Now you call your neighbor at 2 o'clock in the morning to get a four-way to go and do something that you know you have no business doing. Your neighbor has a four-way. You change the tire. On your way to the house, the police pull you over. You mad at the police because they pulled you over. They give you a warning. And may I declare that the whole time, God was providing a way of escape. He always does. Stop blaming others for your problems. Stop blaming others for your mistakes. Stop blaming others for your mishaps. The devil does not have that much power. He can't make us do anything. He can only trick us into thinking that we will get away with what we're doing, or what we're doing won't be that bad. We fall. We fall because we are damaged. Literally, all of us have a way to escape. All of us have been given the opportunity to get away from the temptation that would pull us away from God. All of us, every last one of us, has had that opportunity. But AP, I had an issue. Because, yes, God does provide a way of escape. Yes, he will give me an opportunity to get out of it. But what happens when I don't heed the warning? What happens when I move according to my own id and ego? What happens when I act out on my own actions? I told you the story about my package that I received. It had been delivered, but it was damaged. I told you Amazon, who I love, has a great return policy. Amazon will take the product back and send me and you a new one, or return the money that you paid for the product. I was thinking about that as I was thinking about this sermon. I said, yeah, God, but when I mess up, you can't send me back. And I don't know how much value, cash-wise, monetarily, my life has. So what value do you put on that? He says, I don't have to send you back because I've already paid for the mistake. I own you. You were purchased on a hill called Calvary. The price was not green money, but it was red blood. He said, you don't have to send yourself back. You just got to say I'm sorry because I already own you. What can wash away my sins? What can make me whole again? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Oh, how precious is that flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know. Nothing but the blood of Jesus. I once was lost in sin, but Jesus took me in. And then a light from heaven filled my soul. Yeah, he washed my life in blood. He wrote my name above. I'm glad that although I am damaged, I've been delivered. I don't have to walk around life in this life with my head hung down too low. And I certainly shouldn't walk around with it held up too high. He says you've been delivered, but you're still damaged. I don't care what you've done. Don't care how far you think you've moved away from God. As a matter of fact, I don't care how close you think you are to God. None of us are too damaged to be delivered. He paid the price for us. John says it like this, that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever shall believe in him should not perish, but will have everlasting life. I'm talking to somebody this morning. You've been damaged. Life has damaged you. You have damaged yourself. But may I declare that there's nothing that God cannot repair. There's nothing beyond repair for him. And if you've dotted every spiritual I, if you've crossed every spiritual T, if you know every verse in the Bible, if you are nice to everyone, you still got some kind of sin in your life. We're delivered, but we're damaged. And the only thing that keeps us on the right path is a reminder of what Jesus did on Calvary. To say, God loved us so much that he sent his only son to die for us. My brothers and my sisters, I challenge you today, wherever you are, whatever your situation is in life, you might think it great, you might think it not so great. But you need a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. That's what I have to offer you. Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, I give it to thee. And this is what I have. I have a relationship with a man who looked beyond my faults, saw my needs. Still not where I'm going to be, still not where I ought to be. But every day it gets a little better. Every day I get a little stronger. And it's not because of my might, not because of money, not because of status, not because of educational attainment. It's because of a relationship through Jesus Christ. If you would, I don't know, again, who you are, who I'm talking to. But I offer that to you this morning. A relationship with Jesus Christ. Doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. But it means every day you're getting a little bit better. A little closer to what God desires you to be. We're delivered, but we're still damaged.